Well, this is not true. Premier Mcgunity did not say that. Many premiers accept our plan as being a good one. So you're inventing something. But you know what, Mr. Layton? In our system, thanks God, federal government is not elected by the provinces. We are elected by the Canadian people. The very moment I'm elected, I have the mandate from Canadians to implement the Liberal plan. And the Liberal plan is a very good one. I'm ready to debate it at any time. We are not increasing taxes. Mr. Harper was not saying the truth. We are lowering taxes on what is creating the wealth in this country.
We should clarify one thing, though, Monsieur Dion, which is that it's true the Premier didn't say, I think it's true, the Premier didn't say what Mr. Layton said, but he did say he wouldn't endorse you. The Premier of Ontario said that, and his finance minister and his former finance minister both said this was not the time to implement the green shift. What do you have to say about that?
I will never criticize provinces to make their priority, but the minister was answering to a report written by the chief economist of the TD Bank, Mr. Drummond, one of our best economists in Canada, and a very prudent man. And he was recommending to cut taxes on income and on corporate tax and to shift it to pollution. He said it's a great idea. We need to do it. You need to have politicians courageous enough to do the right things for Canadians. I'm one of them.
Ms. May.
I think the important thing for a Prime Minister to do in meeting with premiers and given all the distortion of the way that tax shifting works, because it was our plan originally, so I'm prepared to defend it because it's a Green Party approach, but it's been used in countries around the world. The fact of the matter is that it's exactly what we need to do right now because it helps make us more energy efficient, it helps take us away from wasteful fossil fuels, which are only going to increase in price as the supply globally of cheap, easily accessible fossil fuels dwindles. So let's do the right thing now and recognize that we do need to cut taxes where they stimulate the economy most, and those are income taxes, those are payroll taxes. And because we're cutting those taxes and we're not reducing the ability of government to run a proper system for the well-being of us all, we replace those taxes with taxes on pollution. And I want to know, Mr. Harper, we're the only party around this table, and I will put it forward because I'd love to know what you think, why we are allowing $5 billion to be taken from Canadian couples, married couples, give the government, they're forced to give the government $5 billion more than they actually owe on their income taxes because of the way married couples have to pay on their combined income. Income splitting is fairer. We can afford it because we tax carbon.
Okay, let's get an answer.
And for someone who claims to defend the institution of marriage, why do you punish people who are married?
Let's get an answer.
Well, no, let me answer that. That's a good question because one of the things we did in the last budget was we eliminated the marriage penalty in this country. We made sure that the exemption for a spouse is the same as the personal exemption. Another thing we did is we brought in income splitting for our senior citizens.
Only on their pension income.
For the pensioners of this country.
I should ask Ms. May, how much would it cost?
$5 billion.
$5 billion?
Yeah.
And we afford that?
No, we cannot afford $5 billion. But what we can afford, a measure we've brought in, proposed in this election, we'll be bringing in income splitting for those who have a caregiver at home with somebody disabled in their family. That's something we can afford to do and addresses a social concern. Can I just say one other thing, Steve? I think we need to be very clear. We have good systems of financial regulation in our country for mortgages, for banks, for pensions. The only thing that can upset that right now is putting additional taxes on those underlying investments, which is what all the other parties want to do, not to cut other taxes, but to fund a whole bunch of programs that we cannot afford.
Do I infer from that, one second, do I infer from that you will never raise taxes?
I will not raise taxes.
Ever?
I will not raise taxes.
Yes, I heard you saying that we have a good financial regulation. So could you explain why you want to transfer and centralize the Security Commission in Toronto against the will of all people in Quebec, against the will of the Quebec government, against the will of the Parti Québécois, the ADQ, everybody's in Quebec, the business people in Quebec are against that. So you're telling me it's working well. Why do you want to change it? Why do you want to fix it if it's been broken?
Okay, you can respond.
Can I address that? There's a lot of people in the country looking for national securities regulation. We're not proposing that. We're proposing that we work cooperatively with the provinces to get common securities regulation, and that will not be imposed on any province that doesn't want to participate.
Mr. Dion is telling you something about the Liberal plan. Just think about what he did about the income trust. When he broke his word for the people who would put their savings in income trust because he gave his word he would never tax them, and he did it, and he never apologized. No, the Liberal plan is not to raise taxes. You may repeat this policy 100 times. It's not true. It will be completely revenue neutral, each dollar that will raise through the carbon tax will go in the pockets of the people in income taxes and the companies to be more profitable and to have green technologies faster in this country. I care about this country.
Very quickly, what we had to do in income trust, we had a case where the entire corporate sector was converting. So what we did, so we didn't apply taxes to income trust immediately. We gave a 4-year period, so no income trust is paid taxes. In the meantime, what we did to compensate for that was we brought in lower taxes across the board for companies, and we brought in income splitting for pensioners, which, Stefan, you said in this election, you voted against, and you said in this election you don't support.
What we support is broad tax cuts for everyone, much deeper than what you are proposing.
So you don't support the income splitting for our pensioners?
We do much better than that. I invite people, Canadians, to see the greenchef.ca. You have a calculator. It will give you the tax cuts.
Hello, everyone. I appreciate that we live in a country where we enjoy great rights and freedoms, and being able to vote is a real privilege. However, I haven't voted in the last couple of federal elections. I'm tired of unkept election promises and politicians who kiss babies and care about seniors until the day after the election. How can I, a frustrated young voter, sort through the political rhetoric and decide which is the right person or party to vote for?
First time.
Well, I think we have to look very carefully to what people say before an election and what they're doing after the election. Are they representing the people who gave them their confidence? Because if we want to have the confidence of the people, we have to deserve that confidence, not only before the election, but also the time during when we're elected. Having said that, when we're looking at the Accountability Act that this government, the upper government, proposed, a lot of words but no action at all, a lot of broken promises, a fixed election date. We're in election today. I mean, there was a fixed election date, guaranteed income supplement for seniors, promised before the election, nothing after that, and a lot of broken promises. I understand those people, but democracy,
that's our time, please.
I'm a former lawyer who's become a politician, and I somehow wonder if I've dropped down to a level where I'm just slightly above the paparazzi in terms of public esteem. Politicians, not just in this country but around the world, are losing public trust. And it's because of broken promises. It's because of acting when you win an election as if you've just won the lotto and everyone else just lost, and all the people who voted for you no longer matter anymore. And the only way people are ever going to have confidence in their politicians, if you forget politicians, forget political parties, vote with what you believe in, vote with your heart, and demand better. Canadians need to be engaged in their political life, not just on voting day, but between elections. Demand better of your politicians, because you don't deserve what you've got. You deserve better.
I understand your view, but the premise I don't think is right. Your premise is all the parties are the same. You have an example today. If we would have followed the view of Mr. Harper instead of Mr. Chrétien, Canada would be in the war in Iraq today, with all the damage you may imagine, and the tragedies, and the cost, and so on. We made the good decision. The same about the healthcare system. If the Alliance and the Reform Party would have been there, Medicare would not exist in Canada anymore. We made differences and choices. I want to be Prime Minister of this country because I know that the challenge of the 21st century is nothing less than to reconcile mankind and the planet. And Canada has a role to play for that. It will not play with Mr. Harper, but we will start something great with us, Liberals.
What I would say is this. These are very difficult decisions, but I still believe every voter has a responsibility to vote. It's our fundamental democratic right. I travel around the world and I see there are so many places where elections do not happen at all, or they do not happen democratically. We have a precious country where the people are able to change who is in power and to do so peacefully, and we should never let go of that. Now, what we've tried to do, I would challenge any voter to take a look at our platform, take a look at our actions.
Where is it?
We have matched our actions to our platform, I think, in a wide number of issues over a short period of time, 2.5 years. We said we cut the GST 2 points. People thought we couldn't do it. We did. We brought in a universal child care benefit, the Federal Accountability Act. We've started the patient wait times guarantee.
Okay,
we brought in
that's your time.
Tackling.
Well, of course, Mr. Harper, you have no program platform this time. You haven't told Canadians what you're going to do. The sweater is nice, but they'd like to know what your plans are, even if you don't intend to break the promises. My suggestion is this. We've had the same old parties in power for a long time, and people have become very cynical. And that's because the boardroom tables of this country seem to be able to get a lockhold on either one of these two parties when they're in power, and they seem to be the one that end up with the benefits. You've got an opportunity in this election with the new Democratic Party and with Jack Layton as your Prime Minister to put the issues of the kitchen table front and center each and every day at the cabinet table with our experienced team. We're making that commitment. It's something new. Take a deep breath and go for it.
Thanks, Mr. Layton.